The nose of all noses. 𝙎𝙬 has an unusually large nose. It is quite a thing of beauty. Not only is it large, it also has a big mole on it, perhaps to make sure that no one ever misses it. Zara's nose is nothing to comparison. 𝙎𝙬, why do you have such a large nose? 𝙎𝙬's nose quivers a little before she breaks into a gleeful laugh. Oh, Zara, mine is the nose of all noses. It picks up scents that others cannot even imagine. Zara's eyes grow big with disbelief. For instance, right now, I can sniff the air and tell you. 𝙎𝙬 closes her eyes, her nose swells, her nostrils flare, her mole quivers, and her chest puffs up. Your army is about to make biryani for lunch, our neighbor is crushing henna leaves for her hair, and the cat has just done a pee-pee. Zara tries to sniff out the secrets too. Could you teach me this magic, 𝙎𝙬? 𝙎𝙬 smiles. When I was a little girl, my nose was trained at my father's old attire shop. If you try hard enough, you can train yours too. She picks up a dusty old crystal bottle from her dressing table. This is from one of the oldest shops in Old Delhi, where attire are sold among jewelers to those with fine noses, 𝙎𝙬 whispers. Take a whiff and see where your nose takes you. 𝙎𝙬 uncorks the bottle and brings it to Zara's nose. Zara breathes in the dust and, be gentle, take your time and imagine. Zara takes a slow and deep breath. When she closes her eyes, her nose swells, her nostrils flare, and the chest puffs up just like 𝙎𝙬's. And just like that, she smells flowers, sweet and fresh. The flowers remind her of the festivals. When Zara opens her eyes, she is in the garden. For miles and miles there is nothing but rows of roses. It is no longer a Mumbai afternoon. It is dawn and some people up, plucking pink roses in the garden. What you sniffed was the 𝙎𝙬, the perfume that made from roses in the garden in Kanál, says 𝙎𝙬. 𝙎𝙬 and Zara stiffly follow the rose pluckers to an old brick-walled factory. There the rose pluckers dip the petals into a great copper pot in a large brick kiln. 𝙎𝙬 and Zara watch in wonder as the attar is made and poured into delicate glass bottles. Is 𝙎𝙬 the only perfume they make, 𝙎𝙬? Asks Zara. 𝙎𝙬 pulls out another little bottle from her kurta. Zara closes her eyes, her nose swells, her nostrils flare, and her chest puffs up, and she takes a deep breath. This attar reminds her of the first monsoon shower. The monsoon shower attar transports them to a grand marble palace where a Nawab sits amid crystal bottles. He sniffs them at great speed and then hurls them across the room at an even greater speed. A funny man withers in front of him, holding a casket full of little glass bottles. None of this will do. This smells like the rain, grunts the angry Nawab. Where is the signature scent you promised me? You're supposed to be the best perfumer in all of Awadh. 𝙎𝙬, I'm sure this is the attar you wanted, says the perfumer, fumbling amongst his things. Unfortunately, Zara's stomach chooses the minute to rumble. It's lunchtime and she is very hungry. Who is that? Thunders the Nawab, whose keen ears have picked up the sound. Before Zara and 𝙎𝙬 can skip away, the Nawab catches them sniffing at the bottles he has been throwing away. 𝙎𝙬ji, are you spying on me? Asked the Nawab. I would have punished you, but I can see you have a keen sense of smell and the nose of all noses. Come here and help me pick the attar that could become my signature scent. Dadima sneakily drops her old crystal bottle amongst the perfumer's things. She pretends to find it and does a more dramatic version of her sniff. She hands the Nawab a bottle. The perfumer, Dadima, and Zara wait anxiously as the Nawab takes a sniff from the bottle. This is exactly what I wanted. What is it? He looks at the bottled perfumer. Regular, the soul of roses from kanál. This is what the perfumer brought for you, says Dadima. Just then they hear another distant angry rumble. What was that, Zara? Asks Dadima as their nose twitches with worry. That was my tummy, Dadima, says Zara. It's time for us to head home. What scents remind you of home, Zara? Dadima asks her. Biryani, says the hungry Zara without missing a beat. I have our most delicious biryani to offer. Hassama felt. Get some for Dadija and this child, the Nawab commands his cook. But Dadima quietly pulls out a tiny copper box filled with a spoonful of fragrant biryani. They close their eyes, their nose swell, their nostrils flare, and their chest puffs up, and they take a deep breath. They open their eyes and find themselves at the dining table just in time for biryani. Our beautiful world. We live in a beautiful world, a world filled with wonders, a world of soaring mountains, of deep oceans, a world teeming with life and joy. It's a world we call home. Here we reign supreme. We design new technological miracles. We shoot for the stars. We build amazing things. We study the world, the universe. We try to make our lives easier and easier and easier with new gadgets that aim to make everything better. Easier, yes, but is it better? Our home is paying a terrible price. We are changing the earth, killing birds and animals with whom we share this planet. The world is becoming a desert. Oceans are rising, glaciering, melting, crops are failing. The heat is rising. There is a monster that haunts Earth. It is called climate change. Humans are its creator. There is the story of how we made it. It's a story of how we betrayed our home, Earth. About 12 years ago, the Earth entered a new geological epoch called the Holocene. It was paradise. This is when the gigantic sheets of ice that covered much of the northern hemisphere and large parts of the southern hemisphere retreated towards the north and south poles, and the world entered a new era of plenty. New forests grew and life flourished. The world's climate became warmer and then stabilized. Ever since then, for about the last 11,000 years, the Earth's climate has been stable and calm. Humans have been around for about 200,000 years. But before the Holocene, we never had it this good. In the past 11,000 years, we have thrived. We discovered agriculture, we settled down in villages and towns. We created art, built grand civilizations. The pyramids of Giza, the cities of the Indus Valley civilization, the Mauryan Empire and the Roman Empire, all happened during the Holocene. This was all possible because of widespread agriculture and trade. We grew crops, we made things, we exchanged them with each other. We grew prosperous. Our ancestors started clearing forests to grow more crops, and slowly their footprint expanded. Even then, Much of Europe, North America, and India were covered in thick forests. It all happened very slowly, over thousands of years. The effect of human beings on the environment was still very small. The Earth still had enough resources to replenish that it was depleted. But as the centuries went by, we started using up the Earth's resources faster and faster. By around 50 years ago, Europe's ancient forests were mostly gone, and even in the other parts of the world, forests were in retreat. Humans have always used the Earth's resources, be it trees, minerals like iron, or animals for domestication and food. We have always wanted the planet to give us more. Then about 250 years ago, something happened. The Industrial Age, the age of machines. Until then, we had mostly used handled tools for work. As a result, there was only so much damage we could do. But with machines, we could do anything. For the first time, we started using machines like the power loom and the steam engine to mass-produce goods for trade. We burned fossil fuels like coal and oil to power machines to do our work for us. Every aspect of our lives today comes from the Industrial Revolution. Cars, planes, mobile phones, space flight, computers, it all began 250 years ago. But while this lit the fire of human progress, it also unleashed its dark shadow, climate change. The Earth is very old, over 4 billion years old. Life on Earth began more than 3 billion years ago. How do we know? Because that is when the oldest fossils are from. What are fossils? The plant has been home to a designed variety of plants and animals. All trees and creatures, including humans, are primarily made of carbon. As they die and as continents shift, their remains go back into the earth where they lie. Over thousands of years, they return to forms of carbon, coal, gas, oil. This is how the Earth's fossil deposits are created. When we started digging up the coal and oil to burn them and power our machines, we gave rise to fossil fuels. That has been the basis of our modern prosperity. For nearly everything we do, we burn coal and oil. We dig into the bowels of the earth, we mine the coal, we extract the petroleum, we burn it. We live our lives. But we have dug so much and burned so much that we have upset the balance of the Holocene. The more coal and oil we burn, the more carbon dioxide we release. This gets stored in the atmosphere. The carbon dioxide traps the sun's heat, and the world grows hotter. The world is becoming an oven, and the heat is changing the climate. The earth is slowly becoming unlivable. It is now 1.2 degrees Celsius hotter than 200 years ago. If we continue like this, by 2050 the world will be 2.4 degrees Celsius hotter. If that happens, then the sea level will rise. Cities like Mumbai and Kolkata might be deserted. Marine glaciers will start vanishing. Rivers like the Ganga and Brahmaputra will be flooding all the time, and when the glaciers vanish, the rivers will dry up. Heat waves will make it impossible to go out during the day. Even indoors, people will suffer. Drinking water will be harder and harder to get. The Arctic Circle and Greenland will lose all their ice. Forests will burn every year. From the deepest jungles to the highest mountains, animals will starve. Epidemics and pandemics like COVID might become more common. It is a scary future for the whole world. Yes, this is hope. We don't need to keep burning coal and oil. In fact, the whole world can stop burning fossil fuels by 2050. No fossil fuels, no extra carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, no more heat. Humans are smart, and we have already built technologies which can draw energy from the sun, wind, and water. If every country around the world says no to fossil fuels, we can defeat the climate change monster. We live in a beautiful world. We can preserve this beautiful earth filled with wonders, a world of soaring mountains, of deep oceans, a world teeming with life and joy. It's a world we call home.